This helicopter was aiding firefighting efforts at the Jarrah Road fire at Girvan, which is just northeast of Newcastle. It's understood that the helicopter had to perform a hard landing. In other words, the engine was failing. It performed that hard landing and the engine has caught fire. There was only one person on board, that was the pilot, and they have emerged unscathed, which is the best outcome to come from that incident, that's for sure. There has been a decision to ground all other aircraft working in that area while there are checks carried out, safety checks carried out. We are still trying to get a bit more information as to exactly what the helicopter was doing, whether or not it was a water carrying helicopter or just being used for surveillance. But that news through a short time ago that a helicopter has crashed at the Jarrah Road fire at Girvan, just northeast of Newcastle, but everyone involved has emerged unscathed.
And Matthew, how did overnight conditions help crews?
So the conditions overnight had eased somewhat, and that brought not only respite for some very weary firefighters right across the state, but also gave them an opportunity to carry out some backburning efforts. There is a concern as to how the weather conditions will develop over this afternoon and over the next few days. It is cooler here in Sydney and across much of New South Wales today, but those temperatures will begin to creep up again in the coming days, building up to Tuesday, where there is some very warm, very hot and windy conditions being forecast so far. So it is something that the people here at the RFS headquarters are having to keep across, a situation that is constantly developing. More than 90 fires still burning right across this state, from as far north as the Queensland border all the way into the far south of the state. And the RFS is confident it is getting on top of these fires, but it still is keeping a very close eye on those weather conditions. RFS Chief Superintendent Ben Millington said earlier to Weekend Breakfast that there was no room for complacency.
We are expecting the conditions to be moderated over the next couple of days, but the Bureau is telling us increased temperatures are forecast from about Tuesday next week. So we're monitoring that very closely. But as I said, we're not out of the woods yet. There's a lot of work to be done over the next couple of days before we see a return of those warm and windy conditions.
Given, the severity of this crisis, how our emergency services are responding, and are they being stretched in terms of their resources?
Well, there's no doubt that there are some very weary firefighters out there, as these fires have been burning for a number of weeks, up to months now, so resources are stretched in that way. But the RFS says that they are well equipped to continue to deal with this developing fire situation right across the state. They have been able to draw on extra resources from interstate, with firefighters from various fire brigades in different states being able to come over and help out for periods of time. There's also been support coming from overseas, and a group of Canadian firefighters have been deployed to Australia. We understand that they are heading north to areas such as Grafton and Glen Innes to provide support to frontline firefighters up there. A group from the United States, incident management experts and aviation specialists, landed in Sydney today. They're likely to be deployed tomorrow and will work in the Greater Sydney and Shoalhaven areas there. The RFS saying that at the moment they believe that they do have sufficient resources and have called in as many favours as they need to, but they will continue to reassess that situation and indeed call on more support if and when they do need it, considering that we are only in the early stages of December and this fire season has many weeks and months left to run.